What's up, everybody? Welcome to Read the Bible with me. Today we're looking at 1 Samuel chapter 28. If you are a new Bible Club member and somebody that's just joining us, please click the subscription button and turn on your notification bell so that you can see all the new videos we post each day with each chapter of the book of the Bible. And so, if you are a Bible Club member, it's so good to see you, and I'm grateful for your support of this ministry. Thank you for being a part of the family. We're reading the Bible every day, and if you are a Bible Club member, click like on this video and leave a comment below. Let's look at chapter 28 of the book of 1 Samuel. In those days, the Philistines gathered their forces for war to fight against Israel. And Achish said to David, "Understand that you and your men are to go out with me in the army." David said to Achish, "Very well, you shall know what your servant can do." And Achish said to David, "Very well, I will make you my bodyguard for life." Achish is thinking that David is going to be his bodyguard. King David is going to be his bodyguard for life. Just because David is not where he is, he hasn't become the king yet. David is still very humble. And David must be extremely humble at this point because he's serving someone as a bodyguard. And he has already been anointed king. So it's important to look at that. Now then, verse 3, now Samuel had died, and Israel all had mourned him, for they buried him in Ramah, his own city. So everybody knew that Samuel was dead. And Saul had put the mediums and the necromancers out of the land. And the Philistines assembled and came and encamped at Shunem. And Saul gathered all Israel, and they encamped at Gilboa. When Saul saw the army of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart trembled greatly. And when Saul inquired of the Lord did not answer him, either by dreams, or by Urim, or by prophets. Then Saul said to his servants, "Seek out for me a woman who is a medium," it's like a psychic, "that I may go to her and inquire of her." And his servant said to him, "Behold, there is a medium at Endor." So Saul disguised himself. He knew he was doing something wrong because he changed what he was wearing, trying to hide because he knew he was wrong. How many times we try to hide and change our disposition because we know what we're about to do is against God, and it's a sin against God. And Saul said to his servants, "Seek out for me." They found a woman in Endor who was a psychic. He disguised himself, and he and two men went with him. And they came to the woman by night, and he said, "Divine for me by a spirit, and bring up for me whomever I shall name to you." He wants to bring somebody from the dead to talk to them. The woman said to him, "Surely you know what Saul has done, how he has cut off the mediums or the psychics and the necromancers from the land. Why then are you laying a trap for my life to bring about my death?" But Saul swore to her by the Lord, "As the Lord lives, no punishment shall come upon you for this thing." Then the woman said, "Whom shall I bring up for you?" He said, "Bring up Samuel for me." When the woman saw Samuel, she cried out with a loud voice. And the woman said to Saul, "Why have you deceived me? You are Saul." The king said to her, "Do not be afraid. What do you see?" And the woman said to Saul, "I see a God coming up out of the earth." He said to her, "What is his appearance?" She said, "An old man is coming up, and he is wrapped in a robe." And Saul knew that it was Samuel, and he bowed his face to the ground and paid homage. Then Samuel said to Saul, "Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up?" Saul answered, "I am in great distress, for the Philistines are warring against me, and God has turned away from me, answers me no more, either by prophets or by dreams. Therefore, I have summoned you to tell me what I shall do." Then Samuel said, "Why then do you ask me, since the Lord has turned from you and become your enemy? The Lord has done to you as he spoke by me. For the Lord has torn the kingdom out of your hand and given it to your neighbor. David, because you did not obey the voice of the Lord and did not carry out his fierce wrath against Amalek. Therefore the Lord has done this thing to you this day. Moreover, the Lord will give Israel also you into the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow you and your sons will be with me. The Lord will give the army of Israel also into the hand of the Philistines. Then Saul fell at once, full length on the ground, filled with fear because of the words of Samuel. There was no strength in him, for he had eaten nothing all day and all night. And the woman came to Saul, and when she saw that he was terrified, she said to him, Behold, your servant has obeyed you. I have taken my life in my hand and have listened to what you have said to me. Now, therefore, you also obey your servant. Let me set a morsel of bread before you and eat, that you may have strength when you go on your way. He refused and said, I will not eat. But his servants, together with the woman, urged him, and he listened to their words. So he arose from the earth and sat on the bed. Now the woman had flattened a calf. She had a fattened calf in her house, and she quickly killed it. And she took flour and kneaded and baked unleavened bread of it. And she put it before Saul and his servants, and they ate. Then they rose and went away that night. So the problem is many times when people start dabbling in this dark magic, in this demonic area, environment, they don't understand what they're dealing with. So you see all these movies where they're calling up demons and stuff like that, or they're calling up spirits, talking to grandma, or they're talking to whoever. Those are called familiar spirits. They familiarize themselves with you. They're demonic spirits that familiarize themselves, or they familiarize themselves with somebody that you love. And they act like them for a little while, and then they turn to get your trust. Then they turn on you and lead you away from the presence of God. Of course they do that. Demonic experience is something not to play with. My dad always told me, do not play around Ouija boards and all these different demonic ideas and other ways of communicating to things. And we know that it wasn't a true spirit from God, because the Bible says to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So if you're present with the Lord, there are no ins and outs. We cannot move from dimension to dimension like angels can. So this is very important. A very important statement that you need to be careful with going forward in the future. And if you have children, to be even more careful with your children around this stuff. Movies are putting it, games are putting it in their games, TV shows are putting it in TV shows. Be careful what they watch and look at and play. Be careful who they hang around with. Be careful who homes they go to. Because it's very important that this stuff is a demonic, and God is not pleased with it. It's a commandment not to mess with unclean spirits, dead things that have gone past. Do not communicate with the dead. It's a sin. So that was chapter 28 of 1 Samuel. Saul is so far away from God that he's now dabbling in demonic activity, just to try to hear the voice of God, when all Saul had to do is acknowledge the Lord in all his ways, and the Lord will direct his paths. Or ask God for wisdom, which he gives freely. Or seek him diligently, and he will find. Ask, and he will answer. Knock, and he will open the door. Diligently, that means doing it, never stopping, consistently. It's important for us to know how to seek God. So thank you for reading the Word of God with me today. I pray that all is well with you. And next time I see you, we'll be reading chapter 29 of the book of 1 Samuel. God bless you. See you next time. Peace.